This video includes all you need to know to install your Walltalkers wall covering, aluminum trim and tray, wood trim and tray, paper rail, and tack rail. Before beginning the installation of any products, I want to point out a few important details. First, we recommend that you watch the entire video before starting any installation. This will ensure that you have a thorough understanding of each step. Second, throughout the video, we will emphasize issues that are critical to the success of your installation by flashing this symbol at the bottom of the screen, along with a line of text. Please take special note of this important information. It is very important to clean the floor thoroughly or place a clean drop cloth over the floor where the material will contact. Remove any substances that would cling to the surface before continuing. The particulates could cause scratches on the surface of the material during installation. Let's prepare the Walltalkers wall covering for installation. The first step is to check out the wall covering to ensure that it had a safe trip. Start by opening the box or tube. For the box, open one end and remove the Walltalkers along with the protective brown tubing. For the tube, carefully cut the tape around the cap and remove the cap from the tube. Next, to remove the Walltalkers from the tubing, start turning it from the inside. Continue turning from the inside until it is loose and can be pulled carefully out of the tubing. Do a once-over to make sure that there's no damage. Now, store the material in a safe place until ready to cut and install the product. Now that we know the Walltalkers is in good shape, let's get the tools together that we'll need for the installation. Drop cloth, ladder, primer, roller, roller cover, roller tray, painter's tape, paintbrush, tape measure, screwdrivers, chalk line, level, water and bucket, soft sponge, clean rags, wall covering smoother, seam roller, razor blades, utility knife, and a double cutting tool. Again, make sure all surfaces around the installation area are clean. Cover the floor with a drop cloth and set up ladders and tables. Turn off all electric in the area to be covered. Remove all electrical outlet covers, heating duct covers, telephone outlet covers, etc., and mask surfaces with tape to protect the outlets and make cleanup an easier job. We're now ready to prepare the wall for installation of the Walltalkers. Remove all objects such as nails and screws and patch all holes with drywall compound. Surface imperfections such as cracks, joints, or chips should also be filled with drywall compound. If this compound contrasts with the color of the wall when it dries, lightly sand and apply a paint that closely matches the wall color. Ideally, the entire area to be covered should be as smooth as possible and coated with an acrylic wall covering primer or prep coat. Remember, your finished installation will only be as good as your preparation of the surface. Show-through may occur if the wall underneath has any areas with significant contrast. All ballpoint pen ink, wax crayon, marker, oil-based stains, or any foreign matter that may bleed through Walltalkers needs to be cleaned or coated with a stain-blocking primer. Use a multi-purpose remover in order to remove these markings. For foreign matter, such as tape or stickers, use your scraper to work these off and remove any adhesive left behind with the same cleaner. Be careful not to damage the surface of the existing wall. Patch and prime if any damage occurs. Allow the wall to dry before priming or hanging any materials. You'll also want to remove any mildew from the wall using a bleach and water solution. If mildew needs to be removed, allow the wall to dry and apply a wall covering prep such as an acrylic wall covering primer to seal the wall. First, we'll cover full wall installations. Measure the wall from floor to ceiling and the wall width. Designate seam locations on the wall using a chalk line or by another means. Be sure to use markings that will not show through the wall covering, such as yellow chalk in a chalk line or pencil marks. Walltalkers recommends the materials be hung horizontally, so your seams will be parallel to the ceiling and floor, and the seams will be outside of the writing area. Vertical installations can also be used if desired. use a plumb line for vertical seams. On most full wall installations, 2 horizontal seams will be necessary. The lowest seam should be approximately 30 to 32 inches above the floor, then a full width run of material, and the last strip at the top will be the balance of material needed to cover the entire wall. Remember, each seam will be double cut, so add 2 to 3 inches of extra material on each piece at seam locations. Although we will start hanging the top piece first, the first seam is the one used to get your other seam locations. Now let's return to the wall talkers you've already unpacked. You'll find it easier to handle wall talkers by laying the material on the floor. Choose a confined area, remove all debris, and cover the floor with a clean drop cloth, just like during the inspection of the material earlier. Use your measurements for the width of the wall and cut 2 lengths of wall talkers, adding 4 inches for trimming. You may want to measure small sections at a time. As the installers are doing here, mark off sections with an easy-to-remove tape for more accurate measuring. Do not make marks on the wall covering. Now that you have your 2 lengths, you must cut one of them down to the size that you need, plus 2 to 3 inches. For example, a seam 21 inches from the ceiling would be cut at 23 to 24 inches for your top sheet. The trimmed edge would then go to the ceiling, and the factory edge of wall talkers will be your bottom edge. The second piece to be installed is the full factory width sheet. Your adhesive should be a heavy-duty pre-mixed clay-based adhesive. Do not thin the paste down. Pasting the wall or dry hanging is the best and safest method to install wall talkers. It will better ensure the material will not be scratched or kinked. A brush and roller are the tools necessary to apply the paste. Use a brush for areas along the edges or where the roller does not reach. Roll a medium amount of paste on the wall from the ceiling to 2 to 3 inches down from your first seam and the width of the wall. On our wall, this is about 11 inches down from the ceiling. At this time, an assistant should be present to help with the installation. Have the top piece rolled so it can be easily handled. Be very careful not to scratch or crease the surface of the wall talkers. Be sure there is no debris on the back of the wall talkers before installing. Remove any debris with your finger. Apply adhesive to the wall for your middle sheet. Remember to paste 4 inches on the surface of the first sheet. Once the first installer lines up the wall talkers material, use a plastic smoother wrapped with a soft cloth, and with downward and outward motions, remove air and excess paste pockets from under the wall covering. Since these tools vary in texture, we recommend wrapping the smoother with a dry, soft, clean cloth to protect wall talkers from damage. The second installer should continue to unroll the wall covering slowly and evenly as the first installer works closer. I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure no debris comes between the backing of the wall talkers and the wall, since these may show through onto the surface of the material. The installer will need to pull back the wall talkers and use his finger to remove such debris. Please take note that inside corners should be trimmed using a plastic scraper against the adjacent wall in order to have the material slightly wrap onto the adjacent wall. Trim all material along floor, outlets, ceiling, and any other areas necessary. Use caution when trimming around any electrical outlet to avoid shock. At the start of the double cut, make sure you open the first 4 to 6 inches of material and then lay it back down gently so you have some air underneath the material. Use a 6-inch scraper and razor blade. Walltalkers recommends a specialized double cutting tool for double cutting all seams. Insert the double cutter and align the blade with the previous razor blade cut. It's recommended to use a straight edge to keep your cut level. When you get 4 inches to 6 inches from the end of your seam, remove the double cutter and again use your 6-inch scraper and razor blade to complete the cut. Remove excess cut-off material and set your seam. It's suggested to start in the middle of the wall and work the seam left and right. There will be less chance of extra material buildup that might cause a bubble. Do not overwork the seam, which may force the adhesive out from under this area and cause an indentation at the seam. Next, paste the last wall section.